Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And Hollywood is closed. Hollywood is closed. Hollywood is going to become, I love this.
I love it too. I don't know who did it. Someone said they think it might be Tom from Midnight's Edge. I don't know. I thought it was hilarious when I saw that.
Hollywood is closed, guys. Just turn it all into a giant spirit Halloween. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the gripes that Hollywood workers have and how people are kind of panicking, how productions are being halted. And we talked about this in a previous video we recorded about the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, that studios are going to look at the situation and they're going to be like, this is a fantastic time to cancel shit. Mm-hmm. Like, let's cancel all these really bad movies and TV shows that we greenlit that are now terminated diversity and inclusion officers greenlit a couple of years ago because we don't have the money. We don't have the luxury to keep this stuff going.
I mean, Disney, like Snow White, they can't take another black eye at the theater either.
No.
But they're probably gonna. But, you know, or they'll use the opportunity of everything getting delayed.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, well, putting on Disney Plus, I guess.
Yeah, we're just gonna put it on Disney Plus. Everybody forgot that. Now, now that we're dumping it in 2028 when it actually gets done.
But now the productions are down. You know what can rise? K-drama, and I'm there for it.
K-drama.
You know, it's the rise of K-drama.
All right, so we're gonna just this is gonna be a mishmash of different grievances with the strike. It started out with the writers' strike, and we've talked at length about that. And then Bob Iger came out the other day and said
basically what we said.
Basically, we said, like, this is not sustainable. This is unreasonable. We can't pay 25 people
to do the job of 5.
To do the job of 5. And a lot of the big complaints are with AI. A lot of people don't want to be replaced with AI.
The AI I get. I mean, to a level, because the actors, that's one of the things the actors are upset about too, is they're worried about their being replaced with AI likenesses of themselves or other, well, they could make up actors that are probably better than them with AI soon. But they're worried about that, and they're worried about residuals and the way it's structured. Same with writers, the way it's been structured for streaming. And things have not been, it's been unprecedented, so they don't have anything set for that, and people feel like they're getting screwed. And I do agree with them that those situations, those issues need fixed. I agree they need some kind of, guidelines or agreed upon, terms regarding that kind of stuff. But I also think there's a lot of big-time celebrities who are have all kinds of money out there being like, oh no, we're not being paid enough. And people are just like, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's hard to sympathize with Hollywood actors and writers when you know what they get paid on average, especially with the writers. They were basically pleading poverty, and it turns out they get paid like thousands a week.
They get
minimum.
Millions of dollars to show up and pretend to be somebody else.
Yeah. So when we're in the middle of a recession and everyday people are losing their jobs, they're not getting raises, they're potentially losing their homes. When you've got Hollywood out there being like, oh my God, guys, they might replace us with bots. They're going to be like, well, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm going to go watch something else anyway. So the only thing I'm really worried about is going to be a lot of reality TV. And that's what happened last time we had a strike. It was just nonstop reality TV. But what the hell? There's always YouTube. You can always watch us instead. So let's talk about this. Before we get to it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Thankfully, we don't just chase the Hollywood chuck wagon. We chase a lot of different ambulances. So even if there are no more movies to talk about, we'll find something else to talk about, tech or art or something.
We are the victims here. We're victimized by the very greedy entity, says the actors who get paid millions of dollars to do a movie.
Yeah, so here's the thing. First, I want to say I do like Fran Drescher. I do like Fran Drescher quite a bit.
She has the balls to stand up to things.
She has balls.
And I appreciate and respect that.
I just think it's so, and I mentioned this yesterday on Twitter, I think this is so ironic that now they're all like, yeah, you tell them, Fran. They shit on her so bad when she said that they needed to drop the vaccine mandates. Mm-hmm. They shit on her so bad when they're like, how dare she party with the Kardashians or whatever she was doing. They're like, she's not taking her job seriously. Now they're like, yeah, Fran,
yes,
you
queen.
tell them. Yes, Queen Slay. You tell them. I mean, she does have balls. I think Fran Drescher.
I respect that. Even if I don't disagree, I respect that.
Yeah, I think she's actually, the interviews I've seen with her, she seems pretty down to earth.
She seems normal, yes.
She seems like, yeah.
And you have to remember too, like, a lot of people are seeing the big celebrities that are making all these money, but there's a lot of actors in the guild that are not making that amount of money. They're like doing different jobs or being background actors or they do like smaller roles on shows or things. They don't get paid anywhere near that much money. So for every like big Hollywood actor making millions and millions of dollars that are standing there, which seems kind of, hypocritical. There are like, dozens that are making like way less money, and it is hurting them. With everything that's going on. And those are the ones I feel bad for. I feel bad for people that are like the other people working on films and the caterers and the different people that are around the industry that they're all on hold too. Those people are the ones who are probably going to lose their businesses or might face a lot of uphill battles because of the strike.
That's what they were talking about in this article on KTLA is they're like the entire LA economy is going to be destroyed by this. So it's not just the actors, it's not just the writers. Thing is, it's so funny that we've got entertainment journalists freaking out about this thing too. And the reason they're doing is, one, they cover movies and TV. A lot of them are access media. And if there's nothing to access, guess what? Your bosses at the companies that own your blogs, they're going to be like, well, there are no new movies or TV shows for like a year or two. So I guess we don't need you anymore. The ad rates are down. What are we going to talk about?
I mean, like when the writers were on strike, they can still, a lot of the showrunners and stuff were writing their own stuff anyway. So if you don't have writers, okay, there's still other people you can get to do that. Now you have the actors, and it's going to be a problem. And then it's literally shutting down complete productions. They were still moving forward, and now they can't even do that, which means like the catering service is gone. The people working on different jobs, like behind the camera, they're screwed. A lot of people are going to be left sitting there holding the bag over this whole thing. So
I was just thinking, I don't think are porn actors, are they in a union? Because they could be screwed, and they could literally be holding bags if they got hard up enough for work. You see the joke in there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I think what's going to happen is entertainment's still going to get produced, but it's going to be outside the union system.
That's what's going on. People are still doing entertainment, people that aren't attached to unions.
Yeah.
Like us and YouTube.
Yeah, animation. I mean, I know that they've had, I think we talked about this last week.
But voice actors might be part of some of this stuff that might not be able to do voice acting and things. So I don't know. It's going to freeze up a lot of things, but the kicker is,
Japan and Korea are standing by. Hollywood is going out of business, but Japan and India, they're all like,
a lot of shows in other countries. I would like to see entertainment continue, but I also think there's just way too much of it. Like there's way too many things now, and I just think that it's just gotten too damn big. And the problem is, if everybody got the demands they wanted, like the greedy studios, it's like, but if the studios aren't paying you. You know what I mean? If they stop paying you, then what are you going to do? Like, people get millions of dollars for a film. The studios stop making films. You're going to be out of money, too.
Yeah. So they're holding production on Deadpool 3, which is one of the few movies Disney has in the pipeline that looks like it might make money. They're like, hey, everybody, look. Wolverine's got his yellow spandex on, kind of. And, oh, yeah, we're going to stop production.
But now, sleeves now.
I missed this. Fran Drescher apparently slammed Bob Iger's repugnant and tone-deaf strike comments. If I were Disney, I would lock him behind doors. Well,
now you're all anti-Iger. We've been taking shit for years for being anti-Iger.
I found them terribly repugnant and out of touch, positively tone-deaf. I don't think it served him well.
Basically, what do you say? Right now is probably not a good time to strike after COVID when the studios are just trying to bounce back. I don't disagree with him.
Like, look, do I think these studios are corrupt and they're hoarding most of the money for themselves? Yes. But is he correct in the fact, and the guy is getting paid like, what, $50 million a year or some ridiculous amount of money?
It's like 30-some million, I think. I don't know.
But he is correct in the fact that if you're going to ask, and we have been saying this from the beginning, if you're going to ask for more money, you don't ask for a raise when your boss is telling you the business is hurting, because you're not going to get what you want. You would have been better off doing this 2 years ago during the pandemic when everybody was watching streaming and there were record numbers of subscribers and everything was on the upswing. Right now, Disney is in this shit. Like they're losing at the box office. They're losing in the theme parks. They're losing Disney Plus. And you're like, yeah, pay us more.
I just think her comment though, for talking about being tone deaf, their comments, if I were that company, I would lock him behind doors and never let him talk to anybody about this, because it's so obvious he has no clue as to what's really happening on the ground with hardworking people that don't make anywhere near the salary he is making. High 7 figures, 8 figures. This is crazy money that they make, and they don't care if they're land barons of a medieval time. Look, they're paying $300 million for a movie, and these actors are a big part of the budget. Like, actors are out there getting $30 million for films, $10 million for films, and then she's there telling everybody it's crazy money, and you don't understand what it's like to be a real person. I'm like, you go work in a factory and strike there. I mean, I'm not trying to be a bitch. I mean, I'm not completely disagreeing with you. I think you guys have valid points. But the arguing about money, when you have people out there making more than Iger, is kind of tone deaf too, Fran. I'm sorry, but it is.
Yeah, I mean, normally I like her, but it's her. This is her job. I mean, she's the union leader. She's got to do the thing, right? But he's not wrong. Where he's basically like, now is the worst time to do this. This is literally the worst time to do it. Like, we're basically trying to figure out how the hell we're gonna make it for the next 2 years, and you guys are
terrible.
Like,
their stuff, their subs are down. It's not just
Yeah.
Disney. Other services, subs are down. Streaming's not doing as well. Movies aren't doing as well. It's like, we want more now.
Yeah.
But like they're gonna look at it like, well, you didn't bring it to begin with. This is why we're in the trouble we're in now. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Normal people in the world are like, you're all babies. Shut up.
yeah, pretty much. Like you tell it to the person working in the retail job under
Working 3 jobs is to make they don't lose their house or pay rent.
Right. They're gonna be like first world problems. Like Hollywood shuts down. Boo fucking who.
Yeah.
Except
for the fact that where I have a problem, it is upsetting to me, is people that aren't the ones making, the other actors or writers that aren't making, that are bringing it, that are doing their job, but aren't making the money that the big time actors that are whining the most are making. Or the people that are working in and around LA and Hollywood as people working on films that aren't like the ones getting paid a lot, that are barely getting by. And now they're the ones that are going to go under first.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the grievances here with the writers and the actors. And again, I know the reason that so many of these news outlets are in lockstep with the Hollywood writers is, one, you have a lot of people working that want to be in the business, and two, what are they going to write about if there isn't any entertainment? Because their whole thing is like, we basically shill for a lot of these studios. What are we going to write about? And three, a lot of them are in the same position. The writers at the Mary Sue, they work for the Gamers Group. The Gamers Group is laying people off right now, and they're looking at replacing people with AI.
What position is that? On their knees? Butt up.
So this article here, the shockingly low She-Hulk and P-Valley.
What the hell's P-Valley?
It's this is P-Valley.
Oh, I can't understand
Why is this show not the most watched show on TV? Look at this quality. See, this is the kind of hair I want.
I like
right
the
here.
blingy stuff though.
Yeah.
I never heard of it. But anyway, they're talking about residuals. Okay. And that's one of the issues that writers have trouble with. Writers and actors have trouble with is residuals, which I agree with. They need to fix that for streaming. However, they go down the article and there's these different people like, well, here are my residual checks for my project. And I'm like, I worked on it one episode of a show no one watched. I only made $5 residual. It's not fair. And I'm like, but you and how many people had those residuals split? And that would imply that no one's watching your damn show.
Yeah. So my understanding of the deal is that the residuals are based on the audience, based on the revenue brought in. And now how they calculate that for streaming, they're probably like, I'm assuming, I do not know, but I'm assuming they probably have a pool of like, here's our residual money and however many eyeballs were actually on this thing.
We'll and we do know that the Hollywood accountants will screw people over.
David Prowse.
I was going to bring that up.
David Prowse never got, my understanding is he never got a royalty check from, I think it was Return of the Jedi, because Fox always said that movie lost money. And Darth Vader action figures sold for years and years and years, and you never got any residuals or
supposedly.
whatever.
But I'm just saying. So while Hollywood is corrupt, and I do agree to some point that's probably them lying, I also think people aren't watching your damn shows, or not in the numbers that you think that you should be getting money. And all these people were paid to do the show. You were already paid up front to do if you're an actor. You do your show, you were paid. You might get residuals, but we go into syndication, you get residuals, and that's great. But you were already paid.
So, yeah, because again, like a normal, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to be a dick, but I'm going to be a dick. Because I am a dick. I'm a dick. You can vouch. We've been married a long time. I can be a big dick.
You can't be a big dick.
I can be a really big dick.
I too can be a very big dick, but that's another point.
It works out well. But yeah, so here's like a normal person gets paid for making their hamburgers, and then that's the last of the money that they see.
They don't get
residuals.
A penny from every other burger sold.
No, not unless you own the company. Not unless now it is a little bit different with writers and yada yada. I get that, but again, I think that this is proportionate with the number of people that are watching the show. Now, P-Valley might be the most popular show on TV. I don't know. I don't watch P-Valley. It doesn't look like a show for me. It looks like
Mary Sue loves it. Shocker.
The Mary Sue loves it, so that probably means I'm going to hate it. But you know, I think you need to make your own deals. This is one of the reasons that I am kind of like against unions in some ways.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
This person is in this look at that couch. Look at that view behind
That's
her.
Brandy. Yeah.
Yeah, look at all the beautiful stuff that's sitting
Yes,
there. I am mad because I only got $3.99 for my residual.
So this is Brandy.
Feel
right?
for me.
So this is what you know, always got me about this when you have these news outlets going to bat for these studios or going to bat for people, whatever, is they've spent all this time like standing for these companies. Now these companies are showing you their true colors, that they're just corporations, right? But you're also standing for individuals that have more money than you will ever have. And you're not gonna siphon any of their success off into your own pockets by sucking P-Valley. I mean, it's just kind of weird that you've got these writers that are getting paid like $3 to $10 an article, being like, you know, yes, you go out and get your millions of dollars.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're not gonna see any of that. You know?
I mean, I don't disagree that the residuals and AI is an issue, and I do think that $3.99 is you know, and we don't know the contracts. I want to put that out there too. We don't know their contracts. Their contracts might be that they get a huge amount of residuals and they're not getting it. And I know for a fact that we've talked about other Marvel shows before. People could write a whole story from a comic and they get like what, $5,000 if it gets used. And then these actors are complaining because I only got like $500 residual, but the person who literally wrote the fucking story that they based on got $5,000 or whatever.
Well, see, this is one of the situations where I am anti-union, because if you're part of a union, yeah, they go to bat for you, but one, you have to pay them union dues, right? And two, you have to negotiate as a group, right? I don't like that.
So the people that aren't making anything have to negotiate with people that are making all kinds of money.
And it could be the same. I mean, I don't know the details. I am not obviously an actor in the, you know, a Hollywood writer, but you know, in the familiarity I have with unions is basically you go in as a collective bargaining group, which means that, you know, it's going to be like certain percentages, whatever. I would rather go in as myself, representing myself, or going out and hiring better people to represent me, to be like, I'm going to get the best deal for me.
But the problem is too, if you're a person that's like you know, an actor, but you're not one of the big actors, you're not going to get an audience to get that. Big actors will go in and negotiate. They negotiate these big, big multi-million-dollar deals to begin with. They're walking with. You want to know who's walking with a lion's share of your money? That's who it is. And they're sitting there pleading poverty, you know, and everything else. But it's just like most people are going to have to use a union because they're not going to have the power to walk in and be like, "Hey, Iger, we're gonna have a talk."
We're gonna have words here.
It's not gonna.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, this reminds me of Comics Broke Me. The you know, in the case of Comics Broke Me, the people that are complaining the most are the people that aren't, like, they weren't. I mean, no offense, I'm not trying to be that guy, but they weren't even B-listers. They were like the D-list comic book creators that were working on books that did not sell very well. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like, what do you expect when your book only sells 1,500 copies?
Or if you're a colorist on a book that does sell well, you're not going to probably make as much money
as the artist or the writer.
Right.
I know how that is. You know, I know. And most cases, you don't get residuals. They're
talking here, and they later mentioned, like, well, literally, like, authors with their books. I'm like, yeah, they get residuals when they earn out. After they earn out past their advance, then they get based on sales. And a lot of this is supposed to be based on views. Does that mean that that's fair? No. Does that mean that they're telling the truth? Not necessarily. But if they are, it means that no one's watching your damn show.
Yeah, and we know She-Hulk wasn't that watched. I mean, for a Marvel show, it dropped off a cliff. Now, beyond that, though, you know, back to your point, Disney, we know they do fudge numbers with the streaming, and that's something that doesn't need to change. But again, like, how do you? It's not like DVD sales, right? It's like, how do you quantify what to pay people for streaming, because they're not paying separately for this show. You're not giving them like, oh, you get $1 every time we sell a DVD, a Seinfeld. Like those Seinfeld actors, they're set for life because every deal, you know, they get residuals. There are people making a living off of shows they did back in the 70s and 80s. They get residuals, but you can quantify that. Like, oh, it's in syndication. They've got ad revenue, the syndication package.
Yeah,
you get
but
part
now
of that,
it's harder because now the syndication is the same. It's on streaming, and then we know Disney has argued that's the same thing as DVD, so it doesn't count, you know, and they won.
Right. Bill Nye, they stuck it to Bill Nye. They did.
But I think this is funny. Right. Like, post your pay. Yes, actors, post your pay. Not your residual checks, because, you know, post your actual pay you got paid. You know, writers too. Post your actual pay stubs of what you got paid to do your job.
Yeah.
And that, show us that. Not you're like, I got 13 cents for residual. Well, what did you get initially? For what? Post your pay. Sure. Post your pay. Show us all what you got. What did you get for doing the whole episode? What did you get for the whole run on that show? Please tell us.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you need to, show us what your initial deal was. Like, did they front? Okay, so here's the thing too. And then this goes along with publishing and with books. And did they give you like a massive advance? Did they front you a lot of money and then you didn't, in publishing, you didn't earn out? And we talked about this before. We've talked about with publishing. For those of you who don't know how publishing works, usually a reputable publisher will front you money to give you funds to work on a book, right? And it varies depending on how well they think the book is going to do. Earning out is when you basically pay back the loan that they gave you, and then you're at break-even point, and then you start getting residuals based on sales after that. So if you agreed to like, I get $1 a book or something after I pay back my $25,000 advance.
I mean, it's a shitty deal. No,
it's a shitty deal all the way around.
It's a good deal. It is kind of a shitty deal. But that's what they're equating it to.
So
it's based on performance.
Right. It's based on performance. So it could be that, like, hey, you guys are not mentioning the $150,000 you got up front to work on this show that nobody watched. And we didn't even break even on this thing.
Post your pay. So, fine. Cool. Yeah. How much did you get to do that? I was in one episode and I'm only got a 13-cent residual check. Well, how much did you get paid to the episode? You know what I mean?
Yeah. While these actors and writers receive base pay, they make sure they get this all the way at the bottom of the article. It's not uncommon for me to rely on residuals for financial stability between projects. That is true.
But authors rely on royalties, but we explained that. That's not.
Yes.
That's.
Yeah, and if they got, $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 and they blew it, thinking they were going to make that forever.
Oh, you can spend that in a week just paying.
Oh, in LA? Hell yeah, you can spend. I mean, the director of the Haunted Mansion movie for Disney has a GoFundMe up to keep the lights on until the movie comes out. And he's obviously anticipating the movie's going to do really well. It looks pretty decent, but I don't think it's going to do the numbers they think it's going to do. I think it's, so I don't know, guys. This whole thing is just like Hollywood's just freaking burning down. And I think we're going to see the deck reshuffled. I don't think it's going to go the way that these actors and writers are hoping. I think what we're going to have is a leaner, meaner Hollywood that will produce fewer projects.
Well, we're also in which we need to do. There's a glut. But the problem is the studios, I don't know if they're just being difficult or they just honestly to God don't have it in some cases because, they have a lot of money, but as they're moving forward and there's more things are doing worse and worse and demands are getting higher and higher, they cannot put 20 people in a writer's room, when they only need 5.
Well, yeah, and some of it's just like basic economics. Like a lot of these writers they don't understand. Like they're like, well, your company made $1 billion last year. It's like, yeah, but they also spent $1.5 billion on content. That doesn't mean they have. This is just like people that look at other people's crowdfunding numbers and they think all of that money went into that person's pocket. Mm-hmm. Like, oh yeah, they did $500,000 on crowdfunding. They have lots of money. And this happened with some of these indie books. I think it was one of Spike Trotman's books or whatever. People were coming out and they're slamming her like, we want more money because this book did better than we thought it did. And she's kind of like, hey, yeah, this book now, because we sold more copies, I got to print and ship more copies.
Because it did better. Instead of being a $20,000 printing expense, it's like a $50,000 printing expense. Right. And there's fees. Then there's the shipping costs.
Taxes.
Because that includes the shipping costs that you paid or whatever rolled into it. And there could be like, $70,000 worth of shipping in there. Yeah. And then you had to pay people to work to do the project. You might actually walk out in the negative. We've done stuff, we walked out, we paid in.
We have done crowdfunders before where we actually walked out. Yeah, because we overpromised stuff and then we had to take the manufacturing of said stuff into account. But I mean, eventually it all evened out because we sold off the extra stuff that we produced for the crowdfunder. But yeah, so people look at this and they just look at the money like, oh, your company's making lots of money. That means I should get more money. It might mean like, no, the company's not actually as solvent as you think they are. And, it's just not there. But again, this is just, I think Hollywood's going to be very different. I think a lot of people are going to be in for a very rude awakening. And I think that Hollywood is starting to realize that they can't rely on these people as much. And I think they're going to outsource a lot of stuff. I would not be surprised if the long-term result of this isn't the unions get dissolved or their impact lessens or studios are like, fine, we'll give you what you want for now. but within the next 10 years, we don't have to work with you anymore because we have to keep our business running.
Well, yeah,
You know?
that could be, or it could just be that I did think they're going to be like, okay, well, we'll agree to have like so many people on the production, but we're going to cut the productions down significantly.
Yep.
So it's still going to be the best of the best, and the rest of the year out anyway.
Yep, 5 shows versus 15 shows, and the rest of the year are going to be baristas or something. I don't know what to tell you. Goodbye. All right, we're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.